if this was only used once to compute these tables and not used any further. Well, with that, I think I've made my point clear and perhaps raised some interesting questions as to whether one should subvert the technology that 3 billion people rely on for their privacy. And I would suggest for the remainder of the hour to have Harald and Frank come back on stage and for the three of us to engage in a discussion with you as to whether this makes sense, and we all want to go ahead showing that this technology is not to be used for any more security applications more than it already is. With that, thank you very much.
So, questions?
So, Carsten, first questions, and apologies in advance. I have to put the devil's advocate hat here on.
Go ahead.
What are your thoughts and considerations on possible poisoning of those computed tables? Because this is something that immediately crossed my mind. How do we ensure quality if we get into this?
Well, yeah, so the question is how do we prevent that somebody uploads bogus data and makes it available anonymously through BitTorrent? Well, that's easily answered. It is statistically very easy to test whether a table contains the right information or not without downloading the entire table. So you would fetch a few random blocks through the BitTorrent, and with just a few computations, you can, with a 99+ probability, test whether this is the data you want. So definitely something we considered in the design of this. But thanks for the question.
Just from my understanding, this rainbow table that we're then calculating, you don't need any coordination to say you start at the keys with 0001, you start at some other point. It's just we all take some part of this cloud, and the more cloud you have, the quicker it is to crack calls.
Yes.
It's just the random cloud that everybody has a part of. It's holographic, if you will.
Right. So there's no coordination needed other than you shouldn't choose the same 32-bit random number. So patch your Debian box before starting. Right?
You seem very worried about the legal aspects of this problem or of this project. Is there a specific reason for this? You mentioned that the previously calculated table never was released.
Right, it was not. Well, to answer the first part of your question, no, I'm not worried, since all I did was put some software on the internet, right? That is crunching numbers.
Okay, regarding the legal aspects, building this tool is certainly not illegal. Using it for intercepting other people's phone calls would be illegal, which we will not do. This is a proof of concept, so we're trying to show that it's doable. That is the goal of the exercise. Regarding why has this been set up so paranoid again in a distributed way with no single point of failure and so on. The reason is that the statistics that the attack has been out for so long, the knowledge about the possibility of the attack versus the availability of this attack in a practical domain seems to point that there are interests out there that want to prevent this to get into the public hands. And if you look at who is buying these systems today, it's mostly intelligence agencies, so they know that it works and they know that it can be done. But they also know that the people that tell them what to do, namely politicians and big business bosses, they don't use encryption at all. They use GSM phones like we do, which means that as soon as somebody really builds a GSM interceptor for the masses, they are into all kind of problems. And so there is a certain pressure from governments to prevent this. So this is why this project has been set up in a way that it's as distributed as possible and as not mean-acing as possible.
Any more opinions on that?
Nothing bad except for a few problems at the border, but somehow they are convinced to not do this anymore. So I have no clue. So they just say they don't want to work in this domain publicly anymore. So there are endless amounts of rumors which I will not repeat here, but it boils down to the table has not been released, the project has been dead before we basically reanimated it.
Hi, you mentioned it's possible to check the validity of a BitTorrent before downloading the whole thing. Does such a tool exist, or does that need to still be written? And secondly, is there any particular place that you'd recommend advertising the .torrent files?
Well, the way I understand BitTorrent is that you randomly seek the file anyhow. So whatever part of the file you download first, just run some checks on that. I don't think there's more software needed on the BitTorrent side. Yes, we do have the tools that would check whether any part of the table is consistent. Right?
Is that on the track as well, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And for advertising the .torrent files, once you've made the torrent and uploaded it and stuff?
Well, we have a Tor expert here. I believe there is a BitTorrent tracker within the Tor cloud somewhere. Is that so, Jake?
Okay, so Tor and BitTorrent is a touchy subject because Tor is breaking because under the load of BitTorrent. So please don't transmit the files over Tor, but only get the tracker data over Tor.
Sounds good. Thanks.
So any volunteers for FPGA clusters?
Yes. Yeah.
Question
Well,
was,
if one person had all the resources in one place, could it be parallelized to just run it on, say, 32 FPGAs at once? And yes, of course. You need some power to go in there. It will cost you, yeah, but we'll catch up later. Any more questions? Any more opinions? As in,
please use the microphone.
Don't break the security base of my bank, please. Can we have somebody say that?
Wrong audience for that.
Well, but
that would be worthwhile.
That's a ridiculous point of view. The next bank is going to adopt it if we don't do this, right? No, well, I appreciate that you're an audience that doesn't bring up this point because we all understand that, of course, full disclosure, 15 years into vulnerability is most urgently needed. Thanks. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you guys off.
No,
Go
no
ahead.
problem. So, I mean, basically, there are other vulnerabilities that are 35 years old, like DNS. So there are cool things that now DNSSEC will allow us to do. For instance, encrypted voice calls over SIP, over data networks. So I'm very happy for you guys to do this because there will be solutions in time for people that want valid and encrypted things once this table is done. So.
Yes, well,
and that'll be that means that people can have encryption. People should have encryption.
Yeah, essentially, the series of talks is to provide you ample warning, so everybody can already think about what to do then.
If people plan to build such software, come over to the booth there. We're happy to fund you. We're a funding agency, so.
Thanks. Good offer.
Hi, I just had a look at the subversion code of the FPGA, and it looks like it's a Milky Mist SoC. It's a micro 32 CPU in there, but I didn't see the actual FPGA code of the thing that computes these numbers. Do you know if the FPGA code in the subversion is usable, or is it just a demo thing?
Let's get together here afterwards with the FPGA developer. He's somewhere